Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I welcome you to the circus. The Circus of Freaks. Get your popcorn, get your tickets ready, because the show's about to start. This is Cirque Du Freak by Darren Shan. Don't go away. Let me straight up start by saying I am 100%, 400%, 600% biased towards this book. Why am I? Well, I've read it before. I think 3 times. Back when I was a wee lad and I was just reading, I picked up this book and I loved it. I read like 5 books into the series, 4 books in the series, and then I dropped off. But then I came back and I read through this book again, and then I got like 3 books in, and then I dropped off. Fast forward, like, I don't know, 8, 7, 6, 5, 9 years, I don't know. Fast forward time later, and here we are. For the 3rd time, I'm reading through this book. And damn, I could easily see why younger me fell in love with this book so easily. If I describe this book in one sentence, I would describe it as short, sweet, and it's engaging. This book is incredibly easy to pick up. Not because it's light. Like, it is short. It's about 182 pages, 183 actually. So it is physically light to pick up, but to pick up and read is so easy. The chapters are short. Like, it's a 181 page book with, I think, 32 chapters. So that works out to about 5 or 6 pages per chapter. So that's why when I'm gaming, or if I'm, I got like 5 minutes to spare, maybe I'm downloading an update, maybe I'm waiting for something, I'm like, hey, yo, guess what? I could read a full chapter right now. And that's what really sucks me into the book, because although the chapter length doesn't make it seem like it does, but every chapter has some sort of pull at the beginning and the end. It's like, it's so good. If you're not familiar with the book, minor spoilers here, actually major spoilers here. Main character, who is the author of the book, Darren Shan, his buddy ends up getting tickets to a freak show circus, classic like bearded ladies and snake men and people who eat like metal and stuff. It's just like one of those generic things. There's a werewolf man in here at one point, and overall they all pile their money together and they're able to afford 2 tickets. It ends up being he grabs the ticket out of midair just luckily, and he and Steve, his friend, go to the circus. And afterwards, after the circus is over, they go home, but Steve's like, yo, wait, school chum, I gotta check something out. And Darren's like, okay. Instead of going home, Darren turns around and goes to spy on Steve, and Steve ends up confronting one of the freak show host guys, who turns out to be an actual vampire. And what Steve says is crazy to me, and even though I read the book twice and I know what he says, it's so engaging, this book. To sum it up, Steve tells the vampire, I want to be a vampire. What? And the vampire, Mr.crepsley, is like, no. So Steve's like, well, okay, blackmail. So Mr. crepsley, the vampire, is like, okay, let's make you a vampire. Turns out Steve has literally bad blood, like evil blood. Like, he goes to turn into a vampire and he spits out his blood. He's like, oh my god, ew. And I honestly, like, some serious moments in this book make me laugh out loud. So now Darren knows this thing about Steve, his friend, and it's just like such an awkward friendship after that. But why the vampire is in the freak show to the beginning is because he has a pet spider who he controls with his mind. Just, everyday shit. But Darren decides to steal the spider because he has a fascination with them. This is honestly one of the weakest points of the book. Like, the fact that this child would actually go up and go into the circus of freaks and go into the vampire's like place of living, steal the spider and run home is insane, because he's not that much of a insanely brave child. Like, he was scared to go into the circus, but he steals Madame Octa, who is the spider, and you could know shit goes down when Steve comes over and the spider bites Steve, and Steve goes into a triple deep coma, and Steve's gonna die unless he goes to the vampire and asks for some antidote. Turns out there is an antidote. Mr. Crepsley's like, yo, guess what? I have one antidote, because it's like one of the rarest substances in the world for the spider. But if you want it, you have to become my assistant. And Darren's like, fine, I'll become your assistant.
I mean, I guess.
So Darren is turned into a half vampire at this point. And one of the coolest things I love about this book is how he slowly realizes the pros that come with being a vampire. He's stronger, he's faster. There's a part in the book where he's playing soccer and he goes to catch the ball, but he like catches so hard, he like catches the ball and squeezes it and the ball like explodes. He he like scores 16 goals in soccer. Some crazy stuff goes down. But honestly, at the final like quarter of the book, it's honestly quite a sad book because vampires live much longer, 10 times longer than humans. They age 10 times slower. So how would you explain that to the people around you? Like in 20 years, when you look only 2 years older and everyone else is 20 years older, like what? So the only plausible thing they could do is fake his death. So Darren is pretty much like saying goodbye to his family and all this without them knowing that he's going to fake his death. And how they fake his death is kind of funny. Mr. Crepsley gives him a potion that's going to make his heart go so slow that the doctors presume he's dead. And he's like, okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to break your neck, throw you out the window, and then when they bury you, I'll unbreak your neck and bury you up. And it's just so funny because I just imagine like Mr. Crepsley picking up this guy and he's like, hey, I'm gonna throw you out the window, and he just throws him out the window. That's so funny. But the worst part about this is that even though he's in like a quad deep coma, he can still hear everything. So when he's in the hospital bed and he's pronounced dead and his family's around, his friends come in, he hears it all. And it's honestly like a very depressing part of the book. Like general people always think about, oh, if I died, who would show up to my funeral? I wish that would be a cool thing to see. I don't think people really want to see that. At the very end of the book, Mr. Crepsley digs up Darren Shan and he's okay. But they're not the only two in the graveyard. Steve shows up with a pitchfork and garlic and cheesy vampire weapons. And he actually attacks Darren, and Steve's like, I know everything. I know you know that I asked to be a vampire and that I turned into evil blood or whatever. I'm not going to kill you tonight because I don't have the guts for it. I can't kill my friend. But trust me, in 20 years, I will find you and kill you and become the greatest vampire hunter of all time. And that sets up the ending so well. Like the next book, I can't wait to get into. I don't believe, my memory is a bit faded on these books because it seems so long ago, but I don't think Steve comes back for quite a while. I have a very, very faded memory of Steve coming back like 5 books in or some shit. But overall, for 180 pages, there is a lot in here. It's so well written, and I will say it again, it's engaging. This book calls to you to pick it up and read a chapter when you have 5 minutes to spare. And overall, that's a very good quality to have in a book. So if I were to put a number on it, I would probably be looking at a pretty solid 4 out of 5. So that's it. Cirque Du Freak by Darren Shan is done for the 3rd time in my life. Honestly, I kind of want to read it again, but I know I can't read it again. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now. I have 3 books over there calling to me. One of which is the Invisible Library series, which I'm reading next, which I am insanely hyped to read. But for now, that is Cirque Du Freak, and the next book is The Vampire's Assistant. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned, subscribe, do whatever you want. For now, I'm your host, Sarah Planet Entertainment, and Open Just Review. Peace out. I'm gonna turn around and ask if it's broken again. Nice. Jesus fuck. My god. Die. My oh my. What is up? I know what you're thinking. You're only here for the bonus Easter egg soundtrack I put in at the end of every video. But did you also know I have a donation page under Buy Me a Coffee? Donate whatever you want to my channel and I'll put half of that back to an environmental charity. So that's that. Enjoy the music. Peace out.